Podcast. The guys are about to go live. Get ready for the main event podcast. The guys are about to go live. Get ready for the main event podcast. The guys are about to go live. Thursday morning, main event podcast here, 10 a.m. Phoenix time, 11 a.m. Chicago, 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. of course to our friends over there in the Pacific time zone, Nevada, Arizona. Thanks for tuning in. Got a lot to cover. A lot has happened since last night's radio show in the world. A lot of breaking news. Of course, the Masters just teed off here this morning after a rain delay. They are now up and running. They started it. They did the ceremonial first tea time, whatever they call that. A couple of groups got out. I think like 6 groups got out and everything, and then they had to cancel it because of hard rain and all that good stuff. So now they are back and off and running. So good for the Masters. Yeah, it's weird seeing the Masters during football season. Of course, we titled this episode Masters and Football. Because when was the last time you were able to lump those two together? Because the Masters is normally played in April. So weird times. As we all know, weird times we're living in here in 2020. So yay us. We're surviving it. We're getting through it. And we're getting somewhat of a normalcy with the Masters on. Let me check this sound here real quick. Give me a minute. All right, perfect. A little bit of podcast. I changed some settings today, and wanted to change it up. And I said, I guess I'm a little bit quiet. So let me get that changed up here as we go. Yay, team. So that should be a little bit better, I hope, as I get everything set up. I changed some settings to play with some stuff, and of course, you when you do that, you actually screw everything up, and nothing works right. So that about sums it up. So um, just got some pics sent to me by intern, and she made a little comment on there that made me laugh. So yay us, right? So as I said, Masters this morning. I'm still. I was working on yesterday during the day. I was working on my, top whatever game show host. It's just too many. I like the cartoons. I had a hard time narrowing it down. So maybe on Monday we'll have that. Maybe by the time the next favorite person goes down and leaves this world, maybe I'll have it done by then, right? As we figure that out. Of course, the Masters has started. As we said earlier, I've actually got it on the television here. Lots of rain this morning. It was delayed. And for the rain, and now it's just partly cloudy. It looks like no rain at all has ever happened. Guys are hitting the balls fairly good from what I can see. And all that good stuff. Tiger is about to tee off on whatever hole he is on. He is currently at even. I'm sorry. Woo! He's on number 14. He just birdied a hole because he was even before I went live here. And now he is at -1. Let's see who else here. We got Scheffler, Westwood leading the tournament at -3. Snedeker, Simpson, Matsuyama, Scheifele, and Stenson and Casey all at -2. So uh, 5 holes in, 8 holes in, 7 holes in, 9 holes in there. So one thing I will say about the Masters is the Masters.com, their website, their official website, is the most fantastic site if you're a sports fan and want to follow the Masters. You can follow the leaders. You can watch it live. You can follow the leaderboard, updates instantly. It's pretty sweet. You can track the guys. You can mark them as favorites, and it'll update you as those guys do stuff. And hold on here, turned up the volume. Nothing like doing production here on the fly, right? But it's a fantastic website. It gives you the players, gives you all the videos. The scroll up on the top with the leaderboards, like I said, Scheffler -3 through 7. Of course, he started on number 10, and Paul Casey's -2 through 5. He started on number 10. Fantastic website. If you can't have the golf tournament on, and like I said, the as you can hear through my headphones here, if you can pick that up, you can get the live feed right there. Like I literally have the live feed on. I can't say enough about uh, this website. Great job by the Masters. So if you like golf, obviously a lot of people look forward to this tournament every year. I don't know who's going to win it. I don't care. It should be a fun little tournament, though, right? I'm intrigued by it just because of it being played here in November, as opposed to normally April, and I'm excited about it. I'm just excited for that side. How it's going to change everything. No crowd, is that going to affect some guys in their shots? They're not going to be afraid to hit a bad shot if nobody's going to boo them. Or is it going to the opposite going to happen? They're going to play too easy out there as they go forward. So, of course, if you watched the other day, John Rahm went out on that practice day and skipped the ball across the water up under the green, and then it ended up being a hole in one. Fantastic shot for practice to get it going. The par 3 tournament was canceled yesterday due to COVID, I believe I was told on there. So these guys are out here, playing a major with no crowd and rain delay. Let's see how it goes. In November, when they normally do it in April, let's see how it goes, right? As I said, Tiger Woods, let me get back to that screen here. -1 through number 14. And, they just showed the John Rahm go home run yesterday on the live feed. So, Masters, if you're interested, who do you think is going to win? I'm curious. Obviously, Rahm's a favorite. DeChambeau is hitting with just a power shots. He tees off this afternoon, I believe. And I'm sorry, he is +1 right now. I forget they're in the Eastern time zone, so they're way ahead of us as we go. But let's find DeChambeau here. He's hitting with a 48-inch driver to get more power and more thing. Obviously, he's through 6 holes right now. He is +1. So that's obviously not working very well for him here so far. Early in the round, almost halfway through the round. So, new drivers switching is kind of an interesting and tedious thing when you are playing golf. It's not recommended you switch drivers and then go out and play. And he went with a longer driver. Pure power is what he's looking to do. He's looking to get a good first shot and then a short second shot. See how it goes as time goes on. But anyway, that's my Masters update. Hope you all enjoyed it. Did you enjoy that? Hope you enjoyed that. Fantastic. So last night on the radio show, we discussed the NBA with Chris Paul possibly coming to the Suns and the trades, and some updates came out. Some rumors came out last night how the Oklahoma City Thunder didn't want any long-term contracts back. Kind of put a wrinkle in the initial rumors that we heard. And then we talked about how the Rockets, James Harden and Russell Wilson, were unsure of the direction of the Rockets moving forward after discussions with team executives. We talked about that. And when we got off the air last night, First story I see, of course, that's the way timing works. Is that first story that I see is Russell Wilson uh, wants to be traded. And I put the wrong link on my deal here, so let me load this up here. The Lakers also, by the way, say no fans for games until further notice. So, of course, that's a California thing there. But Russell Westbrook, he's just one season in Houston, playing alongside James Harden. He has reportedly told the team he wants to be traded. Of course, this is being reported by The Athletic. Shams Karania. That's a pretty awesome name, actually. Shams of The Athletic is reporting it. And of course, the Houston Rockets are in win now mode. They've been in win now mode, and they have a new head coach now. They have a new GM. Very few assets. They traded a lot of their assets away, especially to get Westbrook last year from Oklahoma City Thunder. And less than a month away from tip off, and Russell Westbrook tells the team he wants out of Houston. Oops. So, of course, last week, the new head coach, Silas, gave off a glowing, positive vibe last week when he discussed the conversations he had with Russell Westbrook and James Harden. And then now they both came out, and at least Westbrook saying he wants to be traded, and Harden saying he's unsure how the team's going to go. Just more trouble in Rocket Land. Westbrook, of course, he turns 32 on Thursday. He's owed $131 million over the next 3 seasons, roughly. $46.7 million option for years 2022 to 2023. Of course, he's a 2016 MVP and 9-time All-Star. He did struggle on the bubble last year. Probably because he was delayed getting there because he got COVID-19 and couldn't get there until he passed it. And then he got injured. He did something to this says right quadricep in the bubble, so that hurt his play also. And the interesting thing is he's owed $131.5 million. James Harden is owed $131.5 million over the next 3 seasons. So basically, similar contracts, two high-powered guys who are unhappy in Houston. One is reportedly officially been asked to trade. Not good things. Good things are not going on in Houston. And for them to make a trade of Westbrook right now, free up the money, get some draft picks back, whatever they need, because they're in a hurt right now. And it's prevalent times there in Houston as we go into this already delayed season and shortened season for next year. So good luck, Rockets, right? It's also kind of disappointing that maybe that's why D'Antoni and them got the heck out of there as quickly as they could, was because they knew there was going to be some issues. There was obviously some turmoil going on in Houston, and that's probably why Daryl Morey's left now, and that D'Antoni resigned also to move forward. But hey, not our problem, right? Phoenix fans, it's their problems, not ours. So it's also kind of disappointing that what happens as we go forward in the NBA season. I just wanted to do a follow up because that hit last night to the show. Let's get on to, of course, college football this weekend. Yay, team! Of course, we went over it earlier in the week. I hate to bring this up again, but to be fair to the All Access crew, specifically Mikel, I went over 4 of my picks last week in the college football. Horrendous start for me. Obviously, I'm no genius when it comes to college football. This week we have 6 games in the pick'em. I emailed them off to Mikel, just waiting for his response back. We'll get them all posted if he doesn't get it back to me during the show. No worries. And we did 6 games this week for 2 reasons. One, we lost a game last week when Arizona and Utah were canceled. And then also this week, ASU and Cal might be canceled. No absolute word on that as of yet, as of this recording here, Thursday morning. So I did 6, so hopefully we'll make up that game. If not, we'll be down another, we'll at least get 5 in this week, and we'll make it up elsewhere as we go. But college football, here's the weekend we're facing in college football. Earlier this year, everybody was saying, we just want football. We don't care what kind. We just want football on our slate. That's going to be tested this weekend a little bit because four of the top five teams won't play. There's no matchups between top 25 teams. 9 of the 13 ranked teams playing are favored by a touchdown or more. Half of the SEC is in contract tracing protocols and not playing. There's not a lot of high-powered, exciting football on the schedule for this weekend, week 11 of college football. Of course, we have games to pick, and to be honest with you, some of these games are tough that I picked here. So, as I said, I emailed it to Mikkel, and I'll keep my eyes on it as we go. But there's not a lot of games this weekend that you get excited to watch for college football. But it is what it is. Nothing we can do about it, right? So we're going to have to deal with it. So actually, you just got back to me on it. So let's go over the picks here real quick. On these, like I said, 5-game pick 'em. This week is 6. It's between me and all access crew member, Mikkel, which is always fun. But we have number 10, Indiana, at Michigan State. I talked about this all year. Is Indiana as good as they say they are? They beat Penn State early in the year, barely in overtime. Controversial play to end it, right? They've beaten Ohio. They've beaten, Michigan now. And they're 3-0 on the season. They're ranked 10 in the country. Are they good? Michigan State went and lost to Rutgers. Then they beat Michigan at home now. And they aren't as good as you would think they would be. A new head coach and things like that. So it's a kind of a dichotomy. Who's going to pick this game? Is it in this one? I have to assume that Indiana is as good as they say they think they are. They should win this game. If you look at the schedule, if you look at the way they played so far, I can't believe Michigan State is as bad as they were against Rutgers, but I can't also believe they're as good as they were when they beat Michigan, because Michigan's also a bad team. But Mikhail on this one is going to go Indiana on this game, which I can't argue with at all. I got to just looking at the schedule, looking at everything going on with Michigan State and how well Indiana's been playing. I got to assume this is not a fluke. They look like the better team than Michigan State, so I'm going to go Indiana in this game as well. Next up, we move over to the Pac-10, or Pac-12, excuse me. Old school Steve coming out there. We have number 20, USC, fresh off their comeback victory over Arizona State last weekend at the University of Arizona down in Tucson. I mean, we didn't see Arizona play last week. Unfortunately, game was canceled with Utah due to Utah, some COVID issues up there in Utah. So we haven't seen what Arizona has this year, but by all accounts, their offense is going to be all right and decent. Their defense is going to be pretty bad. SC, we saw they aren't as good as they thought they were last week. They weren't the 11-point favorites against Arizona State. They were dominated that whole game until the end of the game, but they came back. So the question that I have is, does USC wake up this weekend? Do they come out and play the way they did that fourth quarter and play that way the whole game now? Or did we see the real USC last week? Look, folks, it isn't going to matter. Arizona's going to be an awful team this year. They might sneak out a win or two in this conference in their games, 6 games that they play, but it's not coming this weekend at USC. I expect USC to win this game, and quite frankly, win it pretty handily. And Mikkel also has SC winning this game this weekend for the Trojans. Now comes some hard games for me because looking at it here, you have number 13 Wisconsin at Michigan this weekend. Michigan isn't good. Michigan has their back against the wall. Jim Harbaugh is on the hot seat now in Michigan. He is firmly on the hot seat, no less. And Wisconsin has missed a couple games because of COVID. They have been out of practice. They have not played a game in 2+ weeks. How is Wisconsin going to come out after having a couple games off? And then conversely, how is Michigan going to come out having lost the games that they've lost? They lost to Michigan State bad last week, just horribly last week. And how are they going to come out? Are they going to come out and fight? Do they have the talent? They are a super young team. Do they have the talent to come out and beat a 13th ranked Wisconsin who has been off for a couple of weeks? Does Wisconsin come out rusty? Right? This is a no-brainer pick in normal times, where Wisconsin's going to beat Michigan this year in normal times. But you have this added factor of missing 2 games now, dealing with all the COVID issues they've been dealing with. How is their team's mentality? Are they excited to get out there and play? Are they going to be rusty as they get out there? I think there's no doubt though. You have to go with Michigan. Sorry, with Wisconsin in this game. You can't put any faith in that Michigan young Jim Harbaugh type team because they just looked awful out there. And Wisconsin, we don't know what they got. They looked good their first game. They missed a couple. So who's going to come out? But you have to believe Wisconsin has enough talent to beat Michigan this weekend and continue to firmly implant Jim Harbaugh on that hot seat going on for the rest of the season here coming up. And it would be a monumental upset if Michigan does beat Wisconsin this weekend. Next up, we got Penn State at Nebraska. Penn State 0-3 in this division. Nebraska's awful also. And Penn State is a team that we thought would be pretty good going into this year. And they haven't been. They lost to Indiana in the first game. They lost bad to Ohio State. Right? And just been a total disappointment. No offense, very little defense for Penn State going through there. They also lost to Maryland last weekend. But they lost to Maryland bad. 35-19. Maryland is a lower tier team. They have some talent on that team, especially at quarterback there, but they are not a team. And quite frankly, they should have. Penn State should have the talent to beat Maryland, and they didn't. They lost 35-19. Right. So this game, which team is going to come out? Because Nebraska, as I said, is that Nebraska equally as bad as Penn State? It's got to be pretty close at this point. Nebraska, though, they are 0-2. Of course, they were one of the teams that did get canceled with Wisconsin, so they've only played 2 games. They lost to Ohio State by a lot in game 1, and then the Wisconsin game was canceled, and then they lost at Northwestern, who's not a bad team this year, 21-13 at Wisconsin. At Northwestern. At some point, Nebraska has to start winning. Frost has not done anything good with this team at all. So, again, question mark here on who you have more faith in. A really bad Penn State team or a Nebraska team? Yeah, right. Mikkel has Penn State winning this game. Surprised to get their first victory of the year. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go with Nebraska this weekend just because, why? I don't know. They're both bad. They're both bad teams. It's at home in Nebraska. It doesn't mean anything. Penn State has shown nothing this year. They got beat by Maryland last week. There's problems in Nittany Lion Land. Say that 10 times fast. So I'm going to go with Nebraska on this weekend and see what happens this weekend. I'm excited about this one. 2 bad teams playing each other. Let's see what happens as we go forward. Next up, we have number 2 ranked Notre Dame. Fresh off their double overtime victory last weekend against the mighty Boston College. Is Notre Dame going to have a letdown this weekend after their 2 overtime victory over Clemson last week, where they beat it out with a freshman quarterback at Clemson, and had to go to 2 overtimes to do it, and they were all excited. They rushed the field. Woo! Do they have a letdown going into this game against Boston College? Boston College is a tough team. They play people tough throughout the year, throughout this year so far. And if there is a letdown by Notre Dame, can Boston College hold it as they go through? Boston College this year beat Duke 26-6. Then they beat Texas State 24-21. Then they lost to North Carolina. It was a really good North Carolina team, 26-22. They did beat Pitt 31-30, so barely. They did lose to Virginia Tech 40-14. That's not good. And then they lost. Boston College lost to Clemson with the freshman quarterback that Notre Dame just beat 34-28 that weekend. Then they rebounded about beat Syracuse last weekend. So does Boston College have enough? If Notre Dame, on the surface, Notre Dame should win this game. Does Boston College have enough in the reserves to beat Notre Dame if Notre Dame comes out sluggish with that hangover of beating Clemson last week and being highly ranked? Do they? McKell says no, Notre Dame's going to win this game. I actually agree as well, as much to my dismay. I would love to see a Boston College Eagle upset in this game. It is not going to happen. Boston College, even if Notre Dame does come out sluggish at the beginning with a hangover, Second half, they'll kind of get out of that funk, and they will end up winning that game. We don't have a lot of disagreements this week so far. Next up, we have Cal coming to Tempe at Arizona State University. Of course, Cal last weekend was canceled against Washington due to some COVID issues. This game is very much in question right now. Does Cal get some of their players back to meet the scholarship minimums? On top of that, I was reading today, not only are they getting players back finally, but the problem is those players they're getting back haven't practiced for 2 weeks because they've been isolated due to COVID and things like that. That might lead to this game being canceled on this season. So if it gets canceled, it gets canceled. What we can do? It's an 8:30 kickoff, Phoenix time on ESPN. So it's going to be a late start. We'll know probably later today. Worst case tomorrow morning early if Cal's going to be able to make a game of this. Because of all those issues, if this game goes on, I've got ASU winning this game fairly easily. ASU show they have a lot of talent. They just need to hang on, of course, to the ending there and not let him come back with an onside kick and a weird bounce on a touchdown play. And Mikel also, if this game is played, has ASU winning this game over Cal. We have a lot of similar picks this week. So that means my 0-4, we have, I think, one difference here. And I have Nebraska, he has Penn State. So hopefully that means that I'm going to win a game this week and not be 0-0 this week going into the second week of picking college football. That was atrocious last week, and I should be embarrassed. Even though I'm not, I should be embarrassed, right? And Mikel also, if this game is... So, I mean, there's other games this weekend in college football. Just nothing to really get you excited, as I talked about at the beginning, right? You've got, Iowa at Minnesota. Iowa's been dominating some games there. Minnesota, iffy, but you got number 9 Miami at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech has beaten some good teams this year, but they just lost to Liberty last weekend. And Hugh Freeze, and he got a contract extension as he started his season, I believe 9-0. So, what kind of team is Virginia Tech? Indiana, we talked about that over Michigan State. Coastal Carolina ranked 15. They're a team you watch. Some people have them in the playoff. Coastal Carolina is at Troy this weekend. Early morning start out here, 10 a.m. Phoenix time. No, Illinois is playing Rutgers. We talked about it, I believe, on Monday, where Illinois was bad last year, and they're about to run their coach out of town. They went on a winning streak. They upset some teams, went on a winning streak. First bowl game in a lot of years. And then this year they come out and they're starting 0-3. Rutgers did win. They did beat Michigan State early in the year. Greg Schiano is back there. Team plays hard, but they are 1-2. They lost to Indiana and then also Ohio State leading into this game this weekend. Right? Other ranked teams playing this weekend. I mean, just in the Pac-12, you have Colorado at Stanford. I'm not really interested in that. Both not very good teams this year. Kind of in rebuilding mode as you go forward. You got Arkansas at Florida. Should be a blowout for Florida going into this game. Number 11, Oregon is playing at Washington State this weekend. Oregon won their first game. They did look a little shaky at times. Washington State has a new head coach, same talent there, but can Oregon keep it going, or will they falter a little bit like Oregon tends to do at some point in the season? You got number 19 SMU at Tulsa, 5 p.m. on ESPN2. And then number 23 ranked Northwestern at Purdue. Northwestern, it looks like they're back this year after a bad year last year, and they're back. Purdue beat Iowa to open up the season. They beat Illinois the second game of the season. Their Wisconsin game was canceled last week, so they're coming off of a quote-unquote bye week, a kind of a forced bye week. I expect Northwestern to win that game, but we'll see what Purdue's got coming into that also. It's pretty interesting. Florida State is a mess right now. They've lost a couple more players after a bunch have opted out, and now they've lost a couple more players that have either retired from football or decided they're not going to keep continuing. They got NC State this weekend. I mean, Florida State is just a shell of what they've been, even these last couple years, let alone getting back to their championship years. It's kind of disappointing to see, right? You got Ole Miss and South Carolina. This is interesting just because South Carolina, I expect actually to beat Ole Miss in this game. It's just a troubled start there for Ole Miss this year. Lane Kiffin is out there talking about how COVID numbers are just to be paid attention to if you don't want to play football. Saying all the wrong things, Lane Kiffin is, which is a Lane Kiffin trademark out there. And he's lost to Florida at the beginning of the year. He beat Kentucky. He lost to Alabama. He lost to Arkansas. He lost to Auburn. He beat Vanderbilt last weekend, which everybody beats Vanderbilt. They have no players on that team due to COVID stuff. And they got South Carolina this weekend. And then they go to A&M. And then they got Mississippi State with Mike Leach. And then at LSU. They're 2-4 in the season. They're going to be lucky to win two more, in my opinion. I bet you're happy you took that job, Lane Kiffin, right? On there. The other Pac-12 games is Utah at UCLA, also 8:30 p.m., but that'll be on Fox. By the way, the Cal-Arizona State game, if it goes, is on ESPN2 at 8:30 p.m. And then you got at 9 p.m. on FS1, Oregon State at Washington. If you're up that late, enjoy that show, right? Games canceled this weekend. There's some decent matchups. Of course, LSU is way down this year, but Alabama LSU was canceled. Ohio State Maryland. We talked about that on the radio show last night. Ohio State, they've had a 9-game schedule. They're now doing an 8-game schedule because they're missing this weekend against Maryland, right? They have a thin window because if they run the tables but they miss another game or 2 games, they're going to be at the point where they're not going to be able to go to the championship game, which means they're out of the playoffs. Ohio State's got to be trapped. All it takes is one more team on their schedule ahead of them to get COVID and cancel the season on Ohio State. Be interesting to see how the Big Ten plays this because that's their only hope of going forward in Ohio State. And to get in the playoffs is Ohio State being there. I mean, Indiana can make it. Texas A&M, I said keep an eye on also. But the Texas A&M game this weekend canceled at Tennessee. Georgia at Missouri was canceled. Auburn and Mississippi State. They're saying the SEC games are postponed because they might slide them into the end of the season. Of course, the Big Ten is canceled. Any Pac-12 games is canceled as well. But these are quote unquote postponed in the SEC because they might, if enough of them happen, they'll just move them to the end of the season. They have a week to play with. So on there. So Air Force at Wyoming's canceled. And Memphis at Navy is canceled or postponed, just in case anybody was looking for that. Memphis Tigers versus the Navy matchup coming your way. Absolutely. So that's college football coming up on this weekend. Not a lot of exciting games in terms of matchups, but it's football. It'll be exciting to watch. Hopefully that Cal ASU game gets in because I'll be looking forward to that. We'll see how it goes, right, as we move forward. And fun stuff on that. Let's get into it. What we all want to talk about, we covered it a little bit last night. And NFL Week 10 has a lot of question marks coming up. Some games that are just hard to pick. Of course, last night, on the 5-game pick'ems, we had the Colts at Titans, and I went with the Titans last night. We had the Bucks at Panthers. I went with the Panthers over the Buccaneers this weekend. I think there's something wrong on the offensive side of the ball for the Buccaneers. I think even though Christian McCaffrey is out on this game, I think that Davis and Matt Rule on that defense might be able to confuse that offense and continue that turmoil. I'm just going with it, folks. Ask me if I believe it. I'm going to tell you yes. We'll see, right? We have the Cardinals. I picked the Cardinals over the Bills this weekend. I think coming off of that huge win in Seattle last weekend, for the Bills, then they got to come to Arizona. 2 tough games in a row. Cardinals just had a letdown game against the Dolphins that they should have won, and they let the Dolphins win it. Cardinals are going to come in invigorated, and I'm expecting a Cardinals victory over the Bills. The defense, they got all their safeties back. Devin Kennard, who I've talked about repeatedly, is there and able to, is the linchpin on that pass rush there. And there's some better defense with those guys in there. I'll break this down a little bit more in my Cardinals Rewind that will be posted tomorrow on Friday, Friday morning on the 13th. So definitely check out the Cardinals Rewind. Of course, I'll post it at the Main Event Pod on my personal Twitter page also at SMAC500. It gets posted to YouTube, the video, and of course it comes out all into the Podbean, Google Play, and all the other podcast systems that we are a part of. So look for that. We all have the Seahawks winning over the Rams this weekend, and then I have the Vikings over the Bears. Also, so Mikel on the All Access crew, he has the Titans, he has the Buccaneers, he has the Cardinals, he has the Seahawks, and he has the Vikings. So he also says you can post and talk about my amazing picks. It won't hurt too much. Well, since we have other than the Panthers, you have the Buccaneers. We have the same team. So if the Panthers upset, I'm going to look like a genius. If, like you guys said, the Buccaneers win, I'm going to look like an idiot. It's all right. Won't be my first time I look like an idiot, right? As we go forward. And then, of course, intern in the All Access crew, she picked the Titans to win, Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win. I'm alone on this Panthers deal. Nobody. I didn't do a good selling job. Nobody's on board with me on this one, obviously. The Cardinals to win. I've talked a couple people into the Cardinals to win that game. She has the Rams over the Seahawks. She's the lone member of the crew here to go Rams over the Seahawks this weekend. And she's going with the Vikings over the Bears on Monday night. So those are all the picks with the All Access crew. And, of course, the host. We have Randy. Randy joined us again this week, so we just had him pick. Izzy was filling in last night and joining the show. He made his picks. And, of course, Kaylor and Adam, of course, that are posted there. So, good job, everybody. Let's see how bad we look this week, right? How about that? How about that positively we go? So, and, of course, intern on Facebook says, "Go All Access crew!" Yeah, go team. I'm so positive. So, regarding the NFL, right? I picked on the Texans for being, with Bill O'Brien being the head coach, being the GM of the team, and just what hot garbage the team was, what trash the team was with their stupid trades, their decision making on the field, their decision making in trading players, their decision making of signing players, all of that, right? From last year with Jadeveon Clowney, that trade where they paid the whole salary, basically paid him to go to Seattle where he was good, all the way to DeAndre Hopkins this year, other players they've made, just horrible decision making. The organization as a whole has been bad, but at least they finally did the right thing where they got rid of Bill O'Brien as a GM and head coach. There's still trash in this organization. And a lot of people have been talking about it with the new owner. Of course, Bob McNair, who did own the team, passed away a couple years ago. His son took over the team. Cal McNair took over the team. And it's just been a mitigated disaster for the Texans since this has happened. And yesterday, I just want to pick on the Titans again because this just baffles my mind how bad you can be, right? So yesterday, the Texans fired VP of Communications, Amy Palcic. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Telling her she was no longer, quote, a cultural fit, unquote. She was the first and only woman to have a full PR responsibilities for an NFL team. She was the winner of the 2017 Rozelle Award for Best PR Staff. She is widely respected. Okay, widely respected, get fired all the time. People who win awards is the best of something get let go all the time. Happens, right? Here's my issue with this. I get the first woman in the role. I get that it's great for them. I get all that. That's not the point I'm focusing on here. When you fire somebody and you say, quote, "You're not a, quote, cultural fit," unquote. If only, if only the Houston Texans had a capable PR communications person to handle this. They just fired him. So the Texans go out of their way to look like complete jackoffs, as usual. And now they don't have a PR staff to hide it for them and spin it. Isn't that amazing? That's how stupid this organization is. They held on to Bill O'Brien too long, who's trashed that franchise. That team is hot garbage on the field, absolute garbage on the field. They don't know what they're doing on the field. And now they tell somebody they're not a cultural fit. Now I've been reading about it. Some people say it's because she made some Biden tweets supporting the Biden Kamala Harris deal. That's fine. That's why I don't think if you work for an organization, you should post political stuff because your organization can get rid of you if they don't agree with you. That's fine. If that's the case, Houston made that decision. Whatever you think of that, it is. But telling somebody they're not a cultural fit, unquote, when they're as good as they apparently are, when you let them go. I imagine if I lived in Houston right now, you know what? If I was the NFL right now, let me go a step farther. If I was the NFL right now, I would look at the Houston Texans and I would tell them they're not a cultural fit. Cal McNair, your organization is garbage. Your organization undervalues people when you trade them. Cal McNair, you're not a cultural fit because your organization is a laughingstock in the league. Mr. McNair, your organization is not a cultural fit because you had a head coach and a GM that berated players and told players like DeAndre Hopkins he didn't like how many baby mamas he had. Cal McNair, your organization is not a cultural fit in the NFL because your head coach had shouting matches with your star and faces of the team and faces of the cities that they're in Houston. J.J. Watt, for instance. If there is a team that is not a cultural fit in the NFL right now, it is the Houston Texans. There's some other examples. Washington, their owner's not the smartest guy on the planet too. I get all that. But the Houston Texans just continue to look like absolute trash. So you can take it and go the women's side. You can take it and do the political tweets, and that's why she's not cultural fit. You don't even have to go that far. It's just you got rid of somebody who was well respected and enjoyed it. That's fine. That's fine. You want to make the change? Make the change. It's your right. But you have to tell her the reason why she's not a cultural fit. Who does that? And on top of it, it's the one position that is paid to spin stuff to not make you look like a jack-off. And you look like a jack-off. I tried to ignore Houston after they got rid of Bill O'Brien. I tried to pretend that they weren't just a trash organization. I laid off them. And then they do something like this that just riles under my skin and makes you remember how crappy Bob McNair's rolling over in his grave right now, how shitty his son is. Seriously. Excuse my language. He raised him, and he's trash. My favorite tweet on this, by the way, is Ross Tucker. You know, of course, Ross Tucker calls the Mac action games on ESPN and all that stuff. But he comes out and he says, quote, well, he does a tweet, right? And it's just like, hey, and he quotes it, but it's obviously a conversation going on. And he says, people keep talking about how dysfunctional we are and all the stupid things we do. So that's somebody in the Houston Texans organization saying that. And somebody replies, that's the PR department's fault. And then the response is, totally, fire them. I mean, don't get me wrong. She's probably better off not being in that dysfunctional garbage of an organization because all she's doing is having to cover up for the total poop smears that this organization keeps stepping into. I guess it's got to be the hardest job in football because every time the owner or the GM or the VP of operations or the head coach did anything, you had to spin it somehow to make it sound less trashy, less garbage, and make it look like they know what they're doing, even though we all know they don't. So that's probably had to be the hardest job in football. And they are just stupid. So, Houston Texans, congratulations for continuing to remind the football world what a bunch of trashy garbage people you are. Thank you. Thank you for bringing us back to you. Because I forgot about you. I didn't care about you. Now you bring it back again. So I look forward to the next time you guys are a bunch of jack-offs and I get to bash you some more. Fun times. So, as we talked about last night on the radio show, a lot of. Sorry, I got away on my little rant there. I got away from the Facebook Live comments, but Mikhail says, intern, of course, says, go all access screw. And then Mikhail says, yes, Steve, we'll lose some ground this week. It's a challenge. I have the totals. I'm going to start posting them. I was just going, instead of doing them every week, I was spreading them out a little bit. Well, I might lose some ground, but I'm still winning that war, Mikhail. That's for sure. And then intern says, sounds like there's a statement about her not being a cultural fit is correct. They're a culture of disaster. She's not. That's probably said it. I wish I would have read that earlier because that's probably better than how I explained it. She says she probably called them out on it and they didn't like it. And her firing is the biggest win. So I mean, get out of that organization, man. Stop covering for the shit organization that they are. Again, excuse my language. It's just I've run out of adjectives to say how bad and how disgruntled that organization is. It's just ridiculous. Nobody wants. J.J. Watt needs to get out of there. Deshaun Watson needs to get out of there. Will Fuller needs to get out of there. The city of Houston needs to get him out of there. It's just a disaster of a team. It's just a mess. I can't stand it. Just you can't be this bad, guys. You just can't. I take it back. You can because they are. So, but we talked about last night on the radio show about the toughest schedules left. There was some doubt on the schedule that, of course, NFLUpdate.com came out with. There's some doubt on who has a hard schedule or not. I get it. I get it. But the Cardinals do have a hard schedule going to the rest of this year. We talked about expectations on teams. We talked about the Cardinals' expectations, the Bills' expectations to finish, and the report, the article I read, which I will tweet out here today. Show notes out at the Main Event Pod, so if you want to see that. Cardinals are final season expectation was 10-6. Pretty good, right? So another thing we didn't touch on, and I'll get that, like I said, I'll get that tweeted out here today also, and on Facebook for those of you that want to see that and see other teams that we didn't touch on. Obviously, 32 teams, we didn't go through them all. But another thing that they have that we didn't get to last night that kind of just catches my eye is, running back set for a second half breakout. Obviously, you have Dalvin Cook, who's on fire right now. That came out in the last couple of weeks. According to this, Le'Veon Bell. People are saying Le'Veon Bell's going to have a great second half of the season. I don't know because they have rookie running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And I don't know if that's going to be the case, but there seems to be some growing momentum that Le'Veon Bell is going to take over that number one receiver spot. So, I expect Bell to get more carries than he's been getting because you want to give Clyde some breaks more often now, especially being a rookie. He's going to hit that rookie wall that happens and everything. Bell's snap count remains consistent at 17 and 19 snaps per game over his 3 games in Kansas City. So, I don't think he's going to take off like they do, but they have him on the list. They also have J.K. Dobbins on this list. You got Mark Ingram there getting the majority of the carries. Of course, Lamar Jackson's quarterback, but he acts like a running back on that team. J.K. Dobbins didn't log more than 10 carries in any game through week 6. However, after their week 7 bye week, Ingram has been out the last 2 games, and he is a rookie, J.K. Dobbins, and he has capitalized on his opportunity. He had 113 yards and 15 carries against the Steelers, who, of course, are undefeated and have a really good defense. He had that game of 7.53 yards per carry. So they limited him early in the season, which means he's got fresh legs going to the second half. So, according to this NFL.com article, J.K. Dobbins. So, fantasy players, listen up. If he wasn't picked up on your team, somebody can get. I'm going through this list for a reason. There's a couple Cardinals. There's a Cardinal on here I want to discuss. Damian Harris of the New England Patriots. You're the Patriots. One week you'll have a good week. Next week, the next rest of the season, you won't be found. It's just that way that offense works. But they have Damian Harris having a uptick in the second half of the season for the New England Patriots, right? Um, Jordan Wilkins. This one was kind of a shocker, but not when you look into it. Because I don't follow a lot of Colts games, because obviously Jordan Wilkins is with the Colts, running back. Jonathan Taylor, I thought, was firmly in there, but he's had a lackluster couple games. He's had some turnovers. He had that big turnover last week where Philip Rivers looked like an idiot when he fell down and tried to grab the guy and all that. That was Jonathan Taylor turnover. So they're saying Jordan Wilkins could step up and have a pivotal second half of the season. Jonathan Taylor still continues to struggle. The other guy that they have on here, this list, Chase Edmonds, Arizona Cardinals. Kenyon Drake has returned to practice for the Cardinals this week. I don't think he's going to play this weekend, but he has returned to practice at least. He's day to day now. Edmonds had 88 scrimmage yards in the loss to the Dolphins last weekend. He's not a downhill runner at all. And third year, supposedly he's supposed to fit into this Cliff Kingsbury system, right? As a patch catcher. So these guys are expecting him to become more part of this offense as it goes on. I don't know. He wasn't that big a part of it against the Dolphins. So when Drake comes back, how's he going to be more part of it after that? I don't get it. Maybe I don't understand it. Somebody explain this to me. Somebody explain it to me. But he's on the list as a breakout guy coming up. All right, just wanted to touch on that. I'll get that tweeted out also today on Facebook and on Twitter at the Main Event Pod. You guys can follow it. It's something that caught my eye. These mid-season things are interesting. I don't agree with most of them, as you can tell, but it just cracks me up, right? Like I said, we talked about the predictions on the Cardinals, the Bills, because they're facing them this weekend, the other opponents in the NFC East for the Cardinals. Interesting deal there, right? So then you got this weekend, week 10 in the NFL, tonight, Thursday night. Yeah, the Colts at the Titans. I'm excited for this game. I work on the blender till 6 p.m. Get home, watch some Colts at Titans. See who does this one, right? I have the Titans winning this game. I just think the difference in this game is going to be the offenses, and if I'm gonna pick Tannehill and Derrick Henry over Jonathan Taylor and Philip Rivers in this game. I think the Titans will pull this game out tonight. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch, though. I really do. That Colts defense has to step up tonight. They're a really good defense. They have to step up tonight to even have a chance in this game. Hopefully, we'll see it, right? Eagles at Giants this weekend. Of course, the 3-4-1 Eagles, 2-7 Giants. I think the Eagles will win this game. Why? I don't know. Got to pick somebody, right? Just not a Daniel Jones fan. Last week, I think it was the first week he hadn't had a turnover in forever. And I just think the Eagles still have a lot of talent on that team, even with Carson Wentz and his struggles there. I think the Eagles will win that game. Jaguars at Packers. Enough said, Packers. It's not going to be a contest. Minshew is probably not going to be back for that game, but even if he is, he has nobody to throw to. It's in Green Bay. It's going to be cold. Jaguars offense is ranked 23rd. Packers defense is ranked 8th, 11th on offense. It's going to be a mismatch. Washington football team at the Lions. Right? Lions are going to win this game. Matthew Stafford's back. He got a full week of practice. I don't even know if Galladay's playing or not. Just the Lions should beat the Washington football team. Alex Smith will be starting for Washington football team. Does throw a wrinkle in there I'm a little unsure about. So we'll see what happens in that one. But I think the Lions will win that one. Texans at Browns. Browns are going to be 6-3, folks, after this game. You would have looked at it this earlier this year. You had no way you thought the Browns would be 6-3, but they're going to be. Texans are a hot mess. Browns can be a hot mess. OBJ's out. Doesn't matter. Nick Chubb's been practicing again. I don't know if he's playing this weekend, but the Browns should win this game 6-3. We already talked about Buccaneers at Panthers. I picked the Panthers. Everybody else picked Buccaneers. Come on, Panthers, please. Chargers at Dolphins. I'm actually going Dolphins in this game. What they showed last week with Tua's great thing after that first win, I think Dolphins are going to win this game. Love Herbert. Love him. Just Chargers can't get over that hump yet. Dolphins are over that hump. They're playing hard. So unless the Dolphins have a letdown game because they just beat the Cardinals here in Phoenix, I think the Dolphins will win this game. Broncos at Raiders. Raiders, after all that COVID mess, a solid team. I had them only winning 6 games this year. They're a little bit better than that. I misjudged them a little bit. I think the Raiders will beat the Broncos this weekend. That defense for the Raiders will be able to shut down Drew Lock and those receivers. For the Broncos, it's indoors in Vegas. Broncos might be able to throw the ball a little bit more than I'm thinking they will. But I think the Raiders will win this game. We talked about Cardinals at Bills. I think that Bills will have a letdown game. Not a letdown game. That's not the right word. I just think coming off of that Seattle win, scoring 44 points, giving up 33. I think it might be an offensive type battle here. I think it's supposed to be a similar game as last week for the Bills. I just think the Cardinals will be able to pull this out. And they'll come out a little bit more fired up after losing last week. 49ers at Saints. Saints are winning this. 49ers are a mash unit. Garoppolo's still out. Mosert's still out. Saints are a good team. I think they're going to win that. Seahawks at Rams, we talked about on the pick'em. Bengals at Steelers. Love Joe Burrow. Steelers had a letdown, serious letdown last week against Cowboys. They had to come back and win it. They had to hold on to it at the end. Big Ben's banged up. He's been on the COVID list all week. He is expected to play as of now. I think even if Big Ben doesn't play, for instance, I think the Bengals will just struggle against that defense. Joe Burrow is going to struggle against that defense. So I think the Steelers will win to go 9-0. Patriots at Ravens. Ravens, even though the defense is calling out plays that the Ravens are calling, I think they're going to just dominate this game. Patriots have no chance this weekend against the Ravens. And we talked about Vikings at Bears already. So let me know what your guys' picks are and what you guys think is going to happen. Other, absolutely. Get on there and let me know. We'll see. And load this up. So midway point, as I said, Super Bowl predictions, midway point. I just glanced at this article because I love these. I'll post this out as well in the show notes. So according to NFL.com, which team will win the Super Bowl? Midway point, they're looking at it. Who's going to win it? Number 1 team, anybody? Anybody? They have the Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs. Preseason favorites, midseason favorites to get to the Super Bowl and win it. Chiefs are still there. The second team surprised me. There's a tie for second place. Pittsburgh Steelers. That doesn't surprise me. They look dang good right now. Their defense is a little bit banged up a little bit. Hopefully they get them back healthy. Big Ben's been hurt a little bit. He's got to stay healthy for them to have a shot. But they're one of the teams tied there. The team that's tied with them is what surprised me a little bit. The New Orleans Saints. Michael Thomas in there. That Saints offense is a different offense than when he's out of there. I don't consider them Super Bowl safe favorites at this point. Obviously, NFL.com does, right? It's good for them. Number 4 team, Baltimore Ravens. I agree with that. They've struggled to beat the better teams, but they're definitely in the Super Bowl talk. They got to beat these better teams like the Steelers and the Chiefs, which they haven't done this year, obviously. This surprised me now. Ranked 5, 3-way tie. I'm sorry, 4-way tie. This cracks me up here on there, right? Buffalo Bills. I agree with that. They're an all-around team. I'm gonna see them in person on Sunday against the Cardinals. I'm expecting to see an all-around team coming in here, a team the Cardinals need to measure themselves to is what I'm expecting this weekend. I think the Cardinals can do it. So Buffalo Bills are there. So go on. I'll put this out for everybody to look at. as we go on. Seattle Seahawks are also in that tied fifth in that deal with 1 vote. Tampa Bay Buccaneers have 1 vote to win it with all the people at NFL.com. Miami Dolphins are in it with 1 vote. Raiders have 1 vote. Colts have 1 vote. Those are the teams that they rank, to win it. They do votes with all their NFL guys. I'll post this out so you guys can look at it. I don't disagree with it, but the Saints one being so high kind of shocked me at number 2. Tied at 2 to get to the Super Bowl. Just a little bit surprised by it. That's all. Doesn't mean anything. Preseason, whatever. It is what it is. So that's the show today, everybody. I appreciate everybody. Of course, we got the Masters going on. You can tune into that. Oh, actually, you know what? Let me go back to college football here real quick. And I put this in late because I saw it last night and I didn't think anything of it. And then it hit me as I was sitting here prepping. But last night, MAC Nation going on. And Central Michigan was playing against Toledo. Western Michigan, I think it was. They're down 38-34. Onside kick happens. They recover it. Then they get down there and they score a touchdown to win the game. And this is how it goes.
Western Michigan's going to have a chance.
Spike the ball down.
They'll throw it to a wide open hole. Touchdown, Broncos.
Did you hear a whistle?
I heard a whistle. I don't think I heard a whistle. Shades of Dan Marino, Dolphins, Jets.
That's right.
Fake spike. Caleb Ellaby finding Jalen Hall.
The Western Michigan goes on to win the game. Well,
I could have sworn a whistle had blown.
That was the play call, so you go to fake spike it. But I don't even know what he did. The guy was so open. Just throw it to him, right? So it's just a fun little play in college football last night for Western Michigan to win it. It was enjoyable. It was fun. Something you don't see all the time. Good job for them, right? So just bring that up. It's a little fun. College football, MAC action on Wednesday nights here on ESPN. All that good jazz. So I just checked really quick all the websites. No super breaking news right now. We'll look for injury reports. Cardinals Rewind will be out tomorrow, so keep your eyes open for that. Cardinals fans or Bills fans, I do break down them as well in this game a little bit. So I appreciate everybody following at SMAC500, SMAC500 on Twitter. And then at the Main Event Pod on Facebook and Twitter as well. We put the show notes up, any announcements we have. We also put the podcast of all the shows up on there as well. So the video's on there now, obviously, since we're doing this live. And then I'll put the podcast system networks, Podbean, stuff like that, Google Play, Apple Podcasts up as well. So everybody, I'll be on the Blender again today. I am off from the Blender on Friday. I do have the Western World this weekend, so I will be out there Friday and Saturday. If you're out there, let me know. Hit me up on Twitter. Let me know you're out there. I'll come by and see you on there and meet you. And so I got that going on. I will be off the Blender on Friday. And as of now, next week, I'm tentatively scheduled to be in there, but it could change as they're looking for that replacement on there. But definitely, I'll be back on Monday during the day to break down this weekend in football and all the other news going on in the world. So appreciate everybody watching. See y'all next time.